Namaskar. Welcome to our channel by Gulab Sir for Wisdom Coaching Center. As a part of series of lectures, today's topic is oxygen dissociation curve under the heading of transport of gases. As you know, during breathing, there is a transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So first part of that transport of gases is transport of oxygen. So to know transport of oxygen, it is necessary that how oxygen get associated with hemoglobin. What conditions are required for oxygen to associate with hemoglobin? One that condition which required to associate with hemoglobin at the site of lungs is concentration of oxygen, and second is temperature. These are the two major conditions are required to associate with hemoglobin, as well as that concentration of CO2 also play vital role, and pH. So these are the four things they are concerned with the association and dissociation of oxygen. Oxygen get associated with hemoglobin at the site of lungs and get dissociated from oxyhemoglobin. That oxygen gets separated at the site of tissue. That conditions which are present at these two ends, when we inhale at the site of lung, the condition is different, and that oxyhemoglobin containing blood when reach to the cell, each tissue where that oxygen to be delivered, therefore at the site of tissue condition is different. So let us understand that before that what is this curve, it is shown in book and that has to be understood. So this is called oxygen dissociation curve as a heading given in your book. So here how oxygen get associated, how much pressure is required to saturate that hemoglobin to carry oxygen through the blood. So according to this, that P50 value, what does it mean? Here it is given 50. Here it is given 26.8. It is approximately more or less 27 mmHg. That pressure is always counted in mmHg, 27 mmHg. So partial pressure at which 50% of hemoglobin, here this is percentage saturation of hemoglobin is given. That is written in book, that percentage saturation of hemoglobin. Therefore this curve can be called as percentage saturation oxygen against, or this graph, this plot can be said as percentage saturation of hemoglobin against partial pressure of oxygen. So this is the zero value. Now when partial pressure of oxygen increases, so at 27 mmHg, when partial pressure of oxygen reach to the 27 mmHg, 50% of hemoglobin is get saturated. That means 50% of hemoglobin has oxygen. That means that RBC with 50% of hemoglobin gets saturated and form the oxyhemoglobin. This is known as P50 value. P50 value is nothing but that partial pressure at which 50% of hemoglobin gets saturated is called P50. Now, at the site of lungs, what are the conditions that oxygen get associated is partial pressure of oxygen PO2 at the site of lungs and at the site of tissue. Now partial pressure of lungs at the site of partial pressure of O2 at the site of lungs is always high. PCO2 is always low. Temperature is always low as compared to tissue. And pH value, that is concentration of hydrogen, is less, therefore pH value is high. And these conditions are in favor to have the association of oxygen with hemoglobin to form oxyhemoglobin. Opposite to this, at the site of tissue, in the tissue, since process of respiration is going on, that is, oxygen is continuously used to oxidize carbohydrate and produce the energy. Therefore, in tissue, partial pressure of oxygen is less and carbon dioxide is a byproduct of respiration. Therefore, PCO2, partial pressure of carbon dioxide, is high. So here, this partial pressure of O2 is low at the site of tissue. Partial pressure of carbon dioxide is high as it is continuously produced, and since that concentration of carbon dioxide is high, that and respiration is going on, as we know that byproduct of respiration is heat, so heat is high, and pH, that is what concentration of hydrogen ion, is increased, therefore pH is low, that is less than 7. These two different conditions, that is what at the site of lungs, that oxygen combined with hemoglobin and form oxyhemoglobin. This condition, because of this condition present here, oxyhemoglobin at the site of tissue, oxyhemoglobin get dissociated into O2 plus hemoglobin. That means this oxygen is delivered to the tissue. So see, oxygen get associated at the site of lungs because of where the PO2 is high, PCO2 is low, temperature is low, and pH is high. These are the four conditions that enable oxygen to combine with hemoglobin, that is heme of the hemoglobin. And now that is being transferred through blood to the tissue. This is being transferred to the tissue through blood. When it reaches to the tissue, at the site of tissue, as I said, that the process of respiration, that is C6H12O6 plus 6O2, that means oxygen is used. And what are byproducts? 6CO2 plus 6H2O plus energy, no doubt, in the form of ATP, and heat energy that is being lost, also help to maintain the body temperature, is being continuously produced. Heat energy is being continuously produced. So byproduct of respiration are CO2 and heat energy. Therefore, at the site of tissue, heat, that is temperature, is always high and concentration of CO2 high. Therefore, affinity for oxygen is decreases. Affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen is decreases, and hence oxyhemoglobin get dissociated into oxygen and hemoglobin. So oxygen get free and get diffused from blood to the tissue, where it is being used for breakdown of carbohydrate to yield the energy. And this is what association, dissociation. It associate, oxygen associate at the site of lungs and dissociate at the site of tissue. So here I can mention as a heading, association and at the site of tissue, dissociation. So I hope you did understand that what exactly this curve means. From zero partial pressure of oxygen, when partial pressure of oxygen increases up to 27 mmHg, 50% of hemoglobin gets saturated, and saturation of 100% hemoglobin, it depends and vary from person to person, as in the child P50 value is lower than adult. Why? In child, that 50% of oxygen gets saturated earlier in less partial pressure of oxygen in child than that of adult. Therefore, P50 value of child is always less than P50 value of adult. Therefore, I write here P50 value of child, P50 value of child, less age, is always less than P50 value of adult. Now, when the P50 value decreases and increases, that to understand is very important. This is the sigmoid curve. That is what plot against the percentage saturation of hemoglobin by oxygen and partial pressure of oxygen. Now, this curve can be turned towards the right side when there is more rate of respiration is going on. At the high rate of respiration, when high rate of respiration goes when there is a exercise or high potential energy required at the condition when we climb the hill or when we play with a vigorous physical movement, then P50 value increases. Here, see that at the site of the tissue there will be a high rate of production of temperature. So there will be less PO2, PO2 is less, PCO2 is high, pH is less, and temperature is high. It's high and it increases when that curve turns towards the right hand side. Same thing decreases when or required less or rate of respiration less in child, that P50 value curve turn towards, or the person who do not exercise in a sitting condition, that P50 value or this curve turn towards left hand side. But when there is a vigorous exercise, this curve turn towards right hand side. It is because of these conditions, as when we exercise we have high concentration of CO2 production, requirement of O2 is very high, and therefore this turn towards the right hand side of the curve. So once again, this is what explanation for association and dissociation of oxygen with hemoglobin. Here I have clearly mentioned how oxygen get associated and get dissociated, and what are the conditions at the site of lungs that enable oxygen to combine with hemoglobin, that is called association. And when it transferred through the blood reach to the tissue, there what are the conditions that are maintained at the site of tissue and enable that oxyhemoglobin to dissociate, that is what to make that oxygen free to deliver to the tissue for the process of respiration. So here I hope you did understand that what is oxygen association dissociation curve and how oxygen get associated at the site of lungs. Question can be asked in examination. Mention the conditions that are present at the type of lungs and at the site of lungs and at the site of tissue to associate and dissociate the oxygen so as to receive and deliver the oxygen. Question also can be asked to draw a plot showing this percentage saturation of oxygen against partial pressure of oxygen to show P50 value, or that sigmoid curve which show that dissociation of oxygen. So no doubt it begin to associate here as the partial pressure increases, saturation keep on increasing so as to have maximum oxygen carried through blood to the tissue to deliver. So when it get fully saturated, by the time blood transfer from lungs to the heart and heart to all parts of the body, when it come in contact with tissue, that oxygen is being delivered. So this is the process which naturally controlled by our autonomous nervous system to have the delivering of oxygen and collecting of carbon dioxide to exit out. So as a part of video, in next video we shall learn about how carbon dioxide is produced and transported from tissue to lungs to exhale out. I hope you did understand today's video on topic exchange of gases under that major heading transport of gases, dissociation curve of oxygen and transport of oxygen with the condition present at the site of lungs and tissue. In NEET, question can be asked that following conditions are the correct for the association of oxygen. They may be give this vary in group. When there will be ABCD group, 4 group, in that 3 group they will give you one thing wrong, but correct one will have this: PO2 high, PCO2 low, temperature low, pH high. So for that 3 other options to have the wrong, either of this one they will change. So that you have to keep in mind that at the site of lungs which conditions are present, and at the site of tissue which conditions are present. So question can be solved. So as a part of conceptual study, this knowledge will help you to understand the question in NEET, to solve the question based on this oxygen transport and partial pressure of oxygen that is enabling to associate and dissociate at the site of lungs and tissue respectively. I hope you did understand. Even if you are in doubt, you can ask in comment section. I appeal you to like our channel as well as subscribe it and press bell icon to receive videos as and when they are uploaded. Thank you.